right. I guess supposed to the Fox Channel 9 Minneapolis St. Paul channel. So, this video was posted not too long ago. College student sues after being expelled, accused of using ChatGPT on exam. I was watching this video not too long ago. I don't know if I got through all of it, but I guess basically this is just kind of, sorry, it's kind of corny, but playing lawyer. Seeing if you really, or maybe investigator. Seeing who you think is in the wrong, who's in the right here. We'll let it play for a bit. Maybe we'll see if we can break it up based off the evidence that comes out.
The University of Minnesota is now suing the school and a professor after he was expelled for allegedly using ChatGPT in a final paper.
The international student lost his visa over the matter and is currently in Africa. Fox 9's Karen Scullin spoke with him via Zoom and joins us live on what has become pretty controversial, Karen.
Right. Haishan Yang has an undergrad degree from a Chinese university in English and French, a master's in economics from Central European University in Budapest, a PhD from Utah State in economics, and he was working on a PhD from the U of M in health services research. He only had his thesis left to do when his professor accused him of cheating with ChatGPT on an exam, which he 100% denies.
It can be a useful tool.
First of all, did y'all just hear the list of educational
Dog
acronyms
has 7 degrees, bro.
Yo. You know,
in 4 different countries.
It's really. I feel like I was talking to y'all about this. Yeah, I was with the author of the Frankenstein book. I feel in this day and age, these pursuits of education are like you went to school in France, and then you go to school in the States, and you did a little bit in little international schooling in like China. I feel like that's not common these days. And what do these people end up doing? I mean, if you have multiple PhDs, you do everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, probably a lot of them teach, but they probably get into research and stuff. Like, I don't know. You gotta do something.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel that people cry about how much it costs. You go in debt to get a bachelor's degree. How much does it cost to get multiple PhDs? But I guess at that point, some of it's like free and paid for. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think they probably do. They are deferring having to pay by continuing to go to school, probably. So
that's the strat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
why you gotta get a real good job after
life.
that.
You won't have to pay anything.
Why don't people just stay in school forever?
Probably a good idea, to be honest.
I guess just don't use ChatGPT. That's the other thing I'm gonna say. I know a lot of times schools raise a big fuss over like you can't plagiarize or else you get in big trouble, but they expel you for that. They like outright just expel you from the entire school. You ever heard of that?
Well, they expel you for plagiarizing, but is using AI not that we know if he did or not, but is using AI considered plagiarism?
It should be.
I think the laws. I don't know if the laws have caught up to that yet, but as of right now, I think a lot of schools have banned the use of AI for at least for like examinations and stuff like that, like for your full thesis.
I guess for exams, yeah. Although I'm curious how he would use it for the exam. I guess the video will get into it at some point, but
let's keep going.
But teachers and professors also know ChatGPT can be used to cheat, using words of artificial intelligence instead of the student's own words.
Let me ask you just straight up. Did you cheat? Did you use ChatGPT in any way?
No, I did not use ChatGPT in exam.
Haishan Yang was working on getting his doctorate in health services research and policy administration at the University of Minnesota when Professor Hannah Neprash accused him of cheating on an exam by using ChatGPT.
I was told that you failed exam because I failed exam because they suspect I used ChatGPT in exam, and ChatGPT is not allowed.
Yang's case went before the U's Campus Committee on Student Behavior, who upheld the professor's findings, and ultimately he was expelled. But in addition to denying using AI, Yang says you can't prove it because it's like using Google. You will get different answers every time you ask ChatGPT the same question.
I tried myself. I put the question to the ChatGPT. I generate 10 times, and it's so different. So it's not possible to replicate what's the evidence. So my initial reaction to this kind of evidence is that this should be never been used against any student using this method.
In a defamation lawsuit
Pause
filed
it.
in state court, Yang accuses the professor.
Okay, so we've heard his testimony on the matter, and obviously, one, you can't necessarily tell with a prepared interview with the news station, and also, I mean, if the brother got multiple PhDs, maybe he's maybe he's just way more intelligent than
The
all of us.
Chat
But
GPT is modeled off of him.
yeah, basically. I guess just at face value, how are we feeling? You believe him, Mace?
Yeah, I believe him so far.
Okay.
I believe him.
Ghost, you believe him? If you were a jury of his peers, would you believe him?
I mean, I need to see some type of proof. Believe him for now, but I do find some of the wording he used kind of interesting. Like when she
If I
asked, like,
were to
did you
cheat,
use Chat GPT to cheat at all? He said, I didn't use it at all on this exam. Kind of very particular wording, and like the fact that his argument is mostly the crux of it is based off of, even if I was cheating, there'd be no way to prove it, versus I didn't. I find that interesting, but I do for the moment believe him.
I mean,
To prove him guilty and all that, but
I mean, isn't that the best?
I just find that a little funny.
Isn't that one of the best defenses? You prove it.
Yeah, I guess this isn't a court of law, but like the burden of proof would be on the prosecutor, in this case, the school. So it is valid, but I don't know.
Fair enough. Let's keep playing.
A defamation lawsuit filed in state court, Yang accuses the professor of submitting altered, possibly modified evidence to the university committee that upheld the professor's findings. However, a forensic analyst at Seattle University that Yang hired to check the findings found that several things had been, in fact, changed. Yang's advisor, Brian Dowd, who has been on faculty with the U for 45 years, strongly supports Yang and says there's not strong evidence to prove he cheated. In Dowd's appeal support letter to the U, it says in part, absent that evidence, I would conclude that the student and ChatGPT drew from the same source material and there was no scholastic dishonesty. Dowd also says Dr. Yang is the best read student I have encountered in my time on the University of Minnesota faculty.
Pause it.
Now, Yang.
First of
Yeah,
all,
come on,
where
dog.
does random glaze come from? Like what? like what? Like who?
That's crazy.
Like nobody asks you what did you think about the student. I mean, obviously, whenever we're going against a court or committee, they do like to try to get an idea of the character of the person in question. But nobody asks you, what do you? Oh, he's the best. He's the best student I've ever seen in my life.
In all my decades of teaching, I've never encountered a student.
I don't know where that came from.
But no, I mean, clearly they were trying to. They were saying that because it's like in defense of, well, you're gonna say he used ChatGPT, which references all of these different, I mean, references essentially like the internet, all the different sources that you could pull from the internet, and like he is extremely well read, so he could have not the same, not the same, wealth of stuff to reference in his head, but similar, like it. Just like ChatGPT pulls from a ton of references, he can do it as well.
Yeah, obviously.
Justify glaze, okay.
Yeah, he could have phrased it a bit differently. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, and you guys can let me know if we're on the same page. It sounds like the rationale for the professor or the school uses that, upon doing their own analysis, like effectively if they punch them punching into Chat GPT themselves or something like it, they got like a similar response from what the this brother put into the on his exam. That's basically how it seemed like the evidence is.
That's what it sounds like because a lot of the times universities and schools will have software that'll do analysis on like plagiarism, or it'll look for certain keywords that like say, oh, there's an X percentage chance that this was plagiarized, or X percentage chance that this was taken from Chat GPT. But it sounds like the professor made the determinations just by himself based off of his knowledge, which that seems kind of crazy to me. But I don't know, maybe we're misinterpreting or something.
Yeah, I kind of got lost in what the full scope of the evidence was, how they came to the determination. They were saying stuff was changed. Kind of got lost in the details there.
We can play it back if it would help. I don't think they expounded upon. I think they just said like the brother used his own independent source to assess the analysis that the professor had, and it sounded like and kind of just going based off what it was shown. But the professor or the school was using like, and it might have been some software comparison, like you were mentioning, Ghost, of like, okay, so this is what the student put, and this is what Chat GPT says, and they are the same.
Well, it sounded like the student is saying that the professor altered his documents that he submitted
Oh
and
Right.
wrote a
shish!
forensic analysis that agreed with the student's
Dang, this is like a
claim
low.
that it was.
Is this turning into a low key Lifetime Sci-Fi Channel or movie? The professor got beef with the student, so they altered
Exactly.
his.
That's the craziest part. It's the craziest thing that's come up here.
Damn. Okay. Actually, I guess we'll just continue to play. See what else they have to say.
Fears his
So,
life is forever changed.
my career is its trajectory is dramatically changed. I still have to figure out.
Furthermore, some more strong words from Brian Dowd's appeal support letter. He says, my final point concerns the treatment of Dr. Yang by faculty in our division. This is not the first attempt to expel Dr. Yang from our program. An earlier attempt resulted in the division writing Dr. Yang a letter of apology and university attorneys requesting an assurance from Dr. Yang that he would not sue the university. In over 4 decades in our division, I have never seen this level of animosity directed at a student. I have no explanation for that animosity. Yang is seeking $660,000 in defamation payments from the professor and to
How
be
much?
reinstated by the university. The university said they couldn't comment in detail except to say that appropriate actions were taken in this matter. In the newsroom, Karen Scullin, Fox 9.
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't the school try provide more commentary? Why would they got the evidence? Why wouldn't they just play it full on full like broadcast?
Just going to court.
Dog, that recommended video.
Anyway, so yeah,
What the?
in this day of AI, there's always suspicion of people using certain tools and systems to cheat and or get ahead. But yeah, I mean, basically based off this, it's not. Is anyone changing their mind? Does anyone not believe him anymore? I think by the end of this video, I think we even more so.
I believe it more than ever. You might be on something with like some type of conspiracy because you got the professor of the university that expelled him saying this, and they tried to expel him before and failed. Like,
That's crazy.
nah,
Again,
bro,
getting potentially expelled before, and now they try to frame this on you.
Nah,
Framed.
And they
yeah.
got the forensic analysis saying that the documents were all like, nah, he had to be an enemy in somewhere high up, and they're trying to frame him. Like at first, it was maybe he was up to something shady, but come on, bro, like you can't have a better defense than he has right now.
Damn.
This is kind of crazy.
Well, I guess a question that comes out of this from me is, in the battle, if you will, of like AIs and the education system, um, I guess whose side are you guys generally more so on, as far as who are you more sympathetic towards? I suppose, um, the schools and the teachers and professors, because now they have this uphill battle of not knowing whether students are using these tools, um, or do you think we could end up seeing more stories like this, and the students are the ones that are potentially in trouble because now even if you write a good ass paper, the professor's looking at you crazy. And we definitely have to deal with none of this back in my day. What do you think, Ace? Who's gonna have the tougher time as this continues?
I think the professors will have the tougher time, and generally, I I would like, I don't know, be more sympathetic to their like the effort that they'll need to place to ensure people aren't cheating. This feels like a anomaly where you got this dude that has 12 PhDs going for his next one. Like, um, uh, it feels like an anomaly, but for the most part, I think professors will have the rougher time of it, and I like I would say I sympathize more because it's not like I'm completely against using AI, ChatGPT, whatever. Like, I rely on it quite heavily now. But at the same time, I understand that for people that are in school, college, you want them to not only be able to get answers, but also understand, more importantly, how to arrive at certain answers and like
Yeah,
develop the thought process to getting to certain answers without having to rely on another tool. So if it's reading, like, if you have, um, you have a ton of material that you have to get through and read, while you could go and have ChatGPT spit out a summary of it, there is also benefit in you doing the reading yourself and being able to come up with your own summary and pull out your own, pull out what you believe is the most important, and draw your own conclusions before let a tool like ChatGPT guide you to a conclusion. Um, so just like for reasons like that, I think it is important that the academic integrity and not making sure students aren't fully reliant on these AI tools is still very important. Um, so I think, yeah, that's why I would side and rely, side more with the professors on, like, they're gonna have an uphill battle, and I do sympathize with it. Um, I feel like it's going to be less likely that a professor accuses a student of using AI tools and it be it be proven wrong, or that they're incorrect, or anything like to the level of this, for sure. I don't think it's going to be common.
man. So many thoughts coming to my head. And you know what's the thing about it? I mean, I almost don't want to get into a bunch of tangents. I do want to hear what Ghost has to say, but the thing that comes to my mind is that, like, I completely agree with you. I think, especially as I've started to, like, obviously I'm just working now, and anything that I learn is on my own volition. So I actively want to seek to continue to develop like problem solving skills, and uh, even more so these days, like research, like productive research skills. And I think if you can know how to solve a problem, I mean, it's just that basic, like, teaching somebody how to fish opposed to them just buying fish and putting them in hands. But the
Right.
thing is, like, in the same vein, is that the final frontier? Like, by what we're saying, like what you're saying, would you say, like, how intelligent would you say a computer is? because if you're on a computer, the computer doesn't know how to solve a problem. You just punch in what is this, but you punch in a question, the computer spits it out to you based off a collection of data.
Yeah.
And we would say computers are the height of technology. Like computers are it.
Yeah.
So what if humans were computers? I know that's question is wild, but
Yo,
you see where I'm going though. I think.
no, I don't. I actually
Wait,
don't.
don't do that. Don't do that. Yes, you do.
That's why I'm laughing because I'm listening to you. I'm trying to follow like where you're going, and then the last thing you say is, "What if humans are computers?"
You see. This is
No.
why. This is why I can relate. This is why I can relate to Yachty because you try to put out an idea and then they're laughing at you. Let me stop. I'm saying is we just outlined like computers how computers work basically. Like they have a collection of data and they spit out an answer to you.
Yeah.
And we hold computers, and I say computers, but obviously that's a placeholder for like the internet and whatever you want to system processing systems. So what if people worked more akin to computers, where we don't necessarily know how to solve problems, but we have all the information easily, readily available? Would we say that's a problem?
Oh, okay. Um, I mean, I guess not in most, maybe you could say in most scenarios, but when you don't have access to a computer, which I mean, you could say, oh, that's rare, but
How many times? How many times during when you're working do you have access to a
oh
computer?
yeah, right. I mean, that is why, like, I don't, I have less of a problem with relying on it or working, and especially in like how it can be used too. Like it can be used as more of a assistant tool rather than just something you just rely on because you lack the knowledge. But but I don't know. I just it feels to me it feels wrong or not the direction we want to go, where we would have a society where, like, if you just take it to its extreme conclusion, people are completely dumb but can get an answer from a computer very quickly. Like that seems something seems off about that.
I
Yeah,
mean, to
obviously, I'm not.
me,
I'm not. I think we can all start to. We've seen enough sci-fi fiction to where these type of realities go awry. But I'm just saying, at the root of it, we don't look at computers as dumb, do we? Question mark.
but the reason why this is like the reason why I am not really for AI. Pulling from a database of knowledge and a repository of resources in and of itself is not a bad thing. However, the difference between humans doing that and then translating that to whatever, to using that to solve a solution versus a AI or computer, is a lot of the times the computer doesn't know how to properly apply the information that is it receives. So you can get a set of data, but if it's kind of meaningless if you don't know like the reasoning behind it or where it came from or how to use it effectively.
Yeah, but that can
And
change over time.
can it? I mean, you're
Yeah,
saying it can, but
right.
I
No,
mean,
Ghost
what?
is making a good point.
I mean, what
Ghost,
problem? What problem in life? You
Ghost is
start off with
making a good point
like
because
if
you
you're
start off with simple things with, oh, how do you screw in a light bulb, and then over time you can develop like, how do you screw in a light bulb when it's at an angle and you have to adjust the fixture in this way? Like it can evolve
like
into whatever
you
scenario you want.
well, you say that, but like let's take your I don't know exactly what you do for your job, for example, but I'm just trying to keep it general. What you do, I'm assuming cannot. I'm just from my
Uh,
perspective, what I do cannot be replicated by a computer, no matter what parameters I gave it, no matter what data or
I
info I
honestly
fed
want to
it.
go into this direction because it gets doom and gloom of all our jobs being taken. But I pretty much do foresee a world in which, if you go far enough into the future, anything can be done without human interaction. Damn near
Well,
anything.
how how
Yeah,
far in
no,
the
I
future are we
agree.
talking? Like you
Pick a time. We're listen. For all we know, we're gonna be here for a long time. So
I
might
feel
as well be
like
comfortable.
you can on paper you can foresee a future in which that's the case, but there's so many like little intricacies and nuances of problems that humans currently solve that maybe in the future AI or computers can solve, but that one case where certain conditions aren't taken into account by a computer and it can lead to long-standing effects like catastrophes that weren't taken into account.
I think it would be the minor issues that require human interaction. Yeah,
No. Oh, oh,
basically,
okay, let's
we'd be in a world in which the computers are asking us. So now we're the reference source. Hey, I got this problem. How do I solve it?
well, but that kind of doesn't make sense because if that's what humans usefulness in problem solving is equated to, then I feel like the minor stuff would be what we right now use AI for, right?
No,
Like,
AI can't do major stuff right now. Major is
yeah,
relative, but
I know. So what I'm saying is right now humans do the major stuff, AI does the minor stuff. But
right,
what you're saying is that in the future AI can do the major stuff and then humans do the minor stuff?
basically,
That logic kind of doesn't make sense to me because if AI is doing the minor stuff now, why wouldn't it be good enough to do it in the future?
why winning it?
Yes.
Well, when I say okay, I actually do a stereotype. When I say minor stuff, I just mean to your point about like it'll be like very nuanced stuff, like how to solve this problem that there's no a collection of data doesn't necessarily solve.
Yeah,
But as
that's what I'm
Edge
that's kind of
cases.
what I'm saying. So let's say right now an engineer's doing a bridge design and the bridge design takes a certain set of calculations, certain factors, certain set of circumstances and applies that to the design itself and then the bridge is built. That's what kind of humans job right now is to do, to take all these different factors, combine them into one and translate it to a design that works and is cost efficient. So in the future, AI, we can give that AI, that computer, the same set of parameters the engineer is working with now. And it could get, let's say it gets like 99% close to doing the same exact thing that the engineer
I
would,
mean, what is
applying the
human?
same exact
What
design.
is the human like data? Like how far do humans get to perfection with it when it comes to that?
Well, again, that is true that humans aren't going to be perfect, but at the end of the day, if you're dealing with someone that's experienced in a certain field and implementing a certain field, they're gonna have a knowledge of certain factors that need to be taken into account. Or if an issue does arise, they might know how to isolate where this problem arose from and how to solve it. Whereas if you're dealing with a computer, give it the parameters, it does the best it can with those parameters, but there's an unforeseen issue is that occurs in the design that wouldn't have.
There's nothing that humans will know that AI won't know in the future. Or now they don't know.
You can't, I just really don't believe you can say that because
Before
at the end of the
before
day, AI and computers, it's kind of it's learning, quote unquote, but it's learning in a way that's facilitated by humans. And if there's no human oversight, a human can program something so far and then the AI takes it from there. But if the AI is handling every aspect of a designer, every aspect of solving a problem that a human programmed it to do in the first place, there's going to be stuff that's missed.
yes, just like if a human's at the wheel, stuff will get
Yes,
missed.
but with the humans at the wheel, there are different measures that are in place to prevent these issues from arising where if a human might notice a mistake and might know how that mistake came across. But if you're just spitting something into, or you're looking at something that an AI spit out, where's the oversight? Because the computer isn't gonna.
Multiple AIs. I don't necessarily want to get down the rabbit hole because I think now I recall you kind of just inherently have a lack of faith in the potential future of AI, which is fine. I actually would rather be have your mindset than the more doom and gloom mindset. But the other thing that comes to mind is I think engineering, unfortunately, is kind of not the greatest example because, like you, engineers already heavily lean on a lot of model based engineering and using tools in uh, like analyzing tools to get to where we want to be. A lot of it is calculations. I think more where it could more be kind of fishy or where you more have to think outside the box. Imagine if an AI was running a company, like was the CEO of a company. That's a kind of a broader example of like, well, I mean, you need a human to run a company to how to manage people and how to do some of these things. But if you just put an AI, just a AI that is thinking just for the betterment of the company and doesn't have the human element of how we have to treat other people in order to get the product that we need. I think that's more along the lines of more we're thinking what that would look like in the future. But even in that, there's definitely I think that's not a 100-year thing off. I think that's a within our lifetime thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with your. I'm pretty much the same position as you, Quest. Like I fully believe AI will get to a point where like it's making jobs like ours obsolete in the not too distant future. But uh going back to your original question, it's very philosophical because like I think since I agree with you that AI I think it's going to get to the point where it can basically be the thing where you go to it and not only can it give you the correct answer, but it can account for the person's lack of knowledge as well. So like even if the person doesn't necessarily have the best way to ask the question because they don't have a good knowledge base in whatever they're asking about, like
Mm-hmm.
the AI will be able to count for that as well. So if you take it to that extreme conclusion, I think it's just a matter of, are you really like, I don't know, do you feel like you're living if you just ask a robot for all the answers? Like if you never have to learn a thing anymore, I feel like it doesn't feel like living to me. Like
The thing
that
You know
is,
that's
what's crazy? I read a sci-fi short story like literally today, kind of about this exact thing you're talking about, Ace.
uh,
yeah, that's why
I draw
like
from that. I draw from sci-fi when I think about these things.
like I said, I feel as if we've seen movies and works of fiction that are akin to the thing we're describing. Well, that appeals to me at least. Like I obviously want to live in life in which I do my own research and I can analyze certain things. I can take the nuances of from what I know about the context of a particular time or event, and build or not my own interpretation, but an interpretation that makes sense. But what are you thinking that for the average person? Like, for the average person that just works a job and has a life in which they just need has quick problems and need quick solutions. I don't know if you're gonna appeal to everybody that we want to live a life in which we have our own development and research. So some people just really want the answer. To be honest with you,
I mean,
some people hop on board with that type of life.
I guess. I mean, maybe it's just a me thing, but like, even because, like I said, I rely on AI, ChatGPT for things I do, but it's not necessarily because I. It's not necessarily because I want to. Like, if I had the time in a lot of cases to dedicate to deeply learning about a certain thing, I would much rather do that than just get the quick answer from,
I agree.
whatever, ChatGPT, AI, whatever. Um, so yeah, in work, like in a work environment, I can see the impetus for getting the quick answer. It's just like ultimately I feel like I feel like the better direction for society as a whole,
The better
y-
direction.
yeah,
Brought to you by Ace.
is not having to rely on a machine, not having to rely on something that's going to give you a quick answer, like being able to synthesize that answer yourself.
I think
Ah,
I think you kind of said it in there. It's like time is a big factor. Like if we had the time, we would. Well, some of us would put it towards the energy and effort. But I
yeah.
think in a world in which we prioritize how much time it takes to accomplish something, and or where sometimes emergencies arise,
Mhm.
like what if it's like a life and death situation? Hey, I need to know how to save this person's life like right now. Hey man, just give me the ChatGPT answer at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't need to know why this thing saves this person's life. I just need to know that what will save the person's life. That type of thing.
Mhm.
But my apologies. These AI chat GPT conversations kind of tend to dissolve into broader ideas and in some cases doom and gloom scenarios. But to go back to what you always, well, I don't know what you say, man, damn near believe goes. I do think a lot of the things we're discussing are very far off, especially like you'll see like not every business or brand, but like we're moving in a direction where multiple businesses have their own AI systems, AI tools, but there isn't a dramatic bump just yet. And also, there might be some invisible barrier that we don't necessarily foresee unless it does turn into some Matrix type shit. Like, one thing I think about sometimes, do we really have infinite storage as far as like drive space?
I mean, we got quantum computers coming on the way. I think
What does that
that's going to
mean?
be good enough.
I think unless we build quantum computers that can like reside in like space and then we start to use materials from other planets. I think we're capped eventually.
I have to bring West to get the answers on that part.
Yeah. But anyway, the moral of the story is, we got very far away from this stoner. I don't know about y'all, but I hope he beats the case. This definitely sounds like a Tubi movie in the making. The school, like a documentary about how the school wanted to get rid of him because he was on the precipice of developing some theses that would like change how we view pharmaceutical companies or some weird thing. I don't know, some big corp. Uh, I don't know, but anyway, hope he beats it. The burden of the proof is on on the school, and they probably did use some type of tool that gives a percentages of like the likelihood that a person use AI or something like that. But you need to do better than that in this day and age. And if he beats it, that's definitely going to set a precedence for others for schools in general. Like, hey, you can't just accuse students of doing this. And honestly, isn't the answer just to have them take exams in like a monitored room, like with cameras and stuff?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Anyway,
Real
again,
real quick,
I'll go ahead.
don't need to respond to this at all, but I'll look it online, some of the articles, and it seems like he might have actually cheated. So
Nice. I like when we
yeah,
do.
we can move on.
Nah, give us the TLDR what you came across.
Uh, I don't. I mean, it seems like he admitted to using Chat GPT for some things, like to check his grammar, apparently, and he there's a sentence left in the essay that or the exam whatever that says note to rewrite this to make it seem like a foreign student wrote it and not AI. Who
what?
maybe this is maybe this is something that was edited by the professor as he's claiming, or adjusted by the professor as he's claiming, but maybe he's not so innocent after all.
Mhm.
If there's something left in the original thing, and I wonder how do you? how do you figure that out? Wouldn't you have to like check somebody's like hardware database to show if they had a former copy or like to find the original copy? But if there's something in that he left in that was left in there that like changed to like what you described, get him out of here. That's crazy.
Maybe we should ask AI.
Yeah, that's the gag, isn't it? It all, my last thing is that's what sucks. I feel as if we like society if we can truly develop a path to where like we can detect when AI or is in use, I think that would solve everything if that's such a thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But then the AI would get more efficient. Be like, oh, yeah, use AI to develop something that AI can't detect that is AI. That is AI.
yeah. It's yep, yep. It's gonna be AI wars.
I mean, this is like fucking capture.
Hmm.
Where we have
Capture.
this capture to detect are you a robot, and you do the thing, and then they adjust the capture to.
Yeah, but the real meta thing about capture is that it was being used to validate AI. Like it was being used to test
Oh,
AI
it
again.
passes the Turing test or
Yeah,
whatever the
yeah.
equivalent is.
All the same. If you're in school, don't be using AI on tests unless the professor lets you. Anyway, I'm sure we'll broach a bunch more conversation about AI, but for right now, unless there's anything else, we can move on to the next topic.